All right, well, thank you very much. Well, we are talking about all week long. We've been previewing International Overdose Awareness. So joining me now, we have some very special guests to talk about it. We have Yasmin and her daughter, Amberleigh. And both of you, you lost someone really special in your life. You lost a brother, you lost a son, and now you continue the work and you raise awareness to save lives and prevent what happened to your son and brother from happening to another family. So what do you want people to know about drug overdoses and what they can do to prevent it?
I think one of the most important things is that it's never just addiction, right? There's always going to be something underlying it, a mental health issue, especially now with the Gen Z loneliness epidemic. People are feeling more alone than ever, and people are feeling as if they need this form of escapism. And sometimes the easiest way to find that is through substances. And I think approaching that with that knowledge, right, being educated that there's always something more to it, will help, make the conversation a little bit more open, because I think there's oftentimes this stigma where it should be the shameful thing, right? You're addicted to something that's not, favorable naturally. However, I think it's important to understand that this is something that anyone can go through. From me, my mother, it could happen to anyone truly. So understanding what it is, and approaching every situation with empathy, and every conversation with empathy, and ensuring that the conversation around it, isn't shameful but supportive. I think that's something that's very important.
No judgment. We really want to try to reduce the stigma and have those conversations early and often. Yasmin, I want to hear more about your son, Xavier. I know it happened recently. He passed away a little over a year ago at the age of 30 on his birthday. Tell me about who he was.
Xavier was an amazing boy. I still call him a boy. He had just turned 30, and he was actually a very kind, caring, smiled that lit up a room. He was a father to a little boy who has Down syndrome, and he's also on the spectrum. He was just a loving person. He was my boy. So.
And now you're carrying on his legacy and educating other families to spare them a similar pain. You're part of the Governor's Prevention Partnership. He's at the advisory board, and Amberleigh, you speak on behalf of that board. What message do you send to other families, and why is it so powerful?
I think a lot of the times I want to share the fact that it starts at prevention, and it always starts at the root of the problem. Nowadays, as a teenager, I see that addiction is approached with such disdain, and there's kind of like this hostility towards it. So I try my best to get the message out there. And also, I think it's so important the fact that I'm a teenager. So I understand the struggle as a teenager, and also by seeing what my brother went through. So giving youth a voice and making sure that youth know that you can speak, right? You have a voice, because people, if I'm doing it, then you can as well.
Yasmin, is there one thing you wish you knew that you didn't, that you want other parents to know?
I think it's just having those open communication with the parents, with the children. I think knowing about the types of drugs that are out there, the fact that they can be laced with anything, a little bit of fentanyl, right?
Can be deadly.
In this case, could be deadly, exactly. So it's just knowing that it's out there, it's knowing that it can happen to any family, is having those conversations with your children, and being open and allowing them to tell you, hey mom, hey dad, this is happening in my life, and for us to be able to listen to them and hear them out.
It's such an important message, and I'm so glad and grateful you're here to share it with us today, and I'm sure your son and your brother will be very proud. Xavier, may his memory always be a blessing.